Guess what? I'm back after 8 years in the motorcycling wilderness. 8 years since my last video. I'm back, baby. And what a way to come back. Today, I have a very special bike review. I have, for about the last month, owned a 2022 Super Naked. And you're about to find out exactly which one. Here she is, the 2022 Tuono Factory V4. Check it. What a beauty. Absolutely stunning looking machine. I love this bike. Listen to that baby roar. Yeah, I've been very curious about the naked class, or the super naked, hyper naked even, class of bikes for quite a while. But frankly, if I'm honest, the class scared me. I did test ride a BMW S1000R many years ago, and that scared the bejesus out of me back then. So here we are on a Tuono, and what a journey it's been to get to here. I have ridden every super naked, hyper naked in the class, and ultimately chose this one, and I'll tell you why. But may I start by saying this is probably the best bike I've ever owned, and certainly from an all-round point of view, the best bike I have ever owned. In a nutshell, this bike is super fun and does it all. Does absolutely everything. I was very intrigued by the reviews on YouTube of all of the naked bikes, and I actually did a lot of research before I even jumped on any of the current generation. So here are my thoughts. Yeah, firstly, the Super Duke. I was really looking forward to riding that bike. There'd been a heap of hype about it, the beast and its immense power and torque and all that good stuff. So I was really pumped to ride that. And look, when I first got on it, I thought, well, this could be excellent. The riding position suited me really well. I'm 6'4", about 96 kilos, and the riding position on the Duke really felt great. But the moment I twisted that throttle, and admittedly the dealer had put the bike in its most potent mode, which I reckon is a bit of a mistake for dealer to do that first up. But anyway, the first twist of the throttle, and man, its slow down throttle response, slow speed, low RPM throttle response is brutal. And you know, over the course of the test ride, my overwhelming thought was, this is just going to annoy me. Particularly for commuting scenarios, which I do a lot of, and street riding. I just couldn't get over it. It was just so twitchy and on-off. So yeah, the bike's great. Got a lot of grunt, and you know, looks great. The other thing about it is I don't come from a dirt biking background, and I reckon if you did, you'd really love it. I think if you like those, you know, big singles or twin cylinder bikes, if that's your thing, I mean, obviously that's about as good as it gets. Compare that to the Street Fighter, which is more like a suit-wearing board director presenting a business case for you know, solving world peace. I mean, it's a serious bike and far more multifaceted in my view than the Super Duke, in that it can do the low speed thing, it can do the high speed thing. But a very serious piece of kit, and a lot to like. But yeah, I mean, on that thing, you know, you're on a complex, you know, mysterious killer, and it's just not quite as easy to have every day, every minute fun on big, you know, on track or on a big fast section of road. I mean, that thing would be amazing. But in terms of an all-rounder, it is not, in my opinion. The BMW S1000R is a wonderful bike, and I really liked it, but the only reason why I wouldn't buy one of those is because I've got a 2022 BMW S1000 RR in the garage, and I just didn't want two bikes that are from the same DNA in the garage at the same time. I didn't ride the Triumph. I just didn't want to. And that in itself is the reason why I didn't buy it. When I look at that bike and I stand next to it and sit on it and I did all those things, it just doesn't inspire me to ride it. I reckon it's boring looking. For me, aesthetics are really important, and the Triumphs in the dealership that I looked at, they just didn't do it for me. And of course, the mighty Tuono, the moment I got on this bike, I knew it was the bike for me. It is an absolute wonderful piece of kit. This does it all. This bike does it all. It is, and some of the reviews online don't actually, in my view, accurately capture the character of this bike. So what I want to try and do today, I want to go for a nice ride out to West Head, the northern parts of Sydney, and I want to talk to you about my experience 1,300 odd kilometres into owning this bike. Hasn't all been good. There's been some crazy stuff going on with it, actually. Particularly with regards to the dealer who sold it to me, and some of the well-known Aprilia issues, which we'll talk about. But the objective today is to talk about my 1,300 kilometre, 5-week review of what I now regard as the best bike that I've ever owned. Jesus. Hello, sailor. Geez, the boys are frisky this morning. Hey? They're frisky boys. See you later. So yeah, the riding position I had to modify, and it's now lovely. It's absolutely sweet. The bar risers give me a much easier riding position, as does the lowering pegs. I have had some issues. Jesus, that thing's loud. I have had some issues with the toe pegs, so I've installed Woodcraft 1-inch toe peg extension on the brake, which has sorted out my right foot. The left foot, I've stayed with the stock clutch peg. I did try the extension. The problem with it is, Jesus, listen to this thing. He's got a hell of an exhaust system on that bad boy. So yeah, the exhaust, the toe peg extension for the clutch didn't really work. It didn't because, just let this thing get out of my general vicinity because it's going to drown me out. Peg extension didn't work for the clutch because it stuffed up the quick shifter, and as the geometry of the quick shifter changed, and it meant that, you know, the travel of the peg to trigger the quick shifter was lengthier, and it stuffed up the timing. Now, I want to talk about throttle response on this baby. There's been a lot of varied opinions about this, and I want to give you mine. A lot of people talk about on-off throttle. They talk about the fact that the throttle goes hunting. It's not an issue, and this concept of the throttle hunting, yeah, I'm not sure what it's hunting for, but it's hunting for thrills, baby, but in a measured way. Fueling is excellent, absolutely brilliant, and at sort of sub 20 km/h speeds, you know, I don't get a lot of chug or lag. You know, the clutch is light too, so when you're commuting and you need to use that clutch, it's not like you're going to get fatigue in your left hand, because I find the clutch is actually pretty light. So yeah, I'm a 9.5 out of 10 for throttle response. The electronics package on this bad boy is, yeah, it's awesome, very effective, but probably almost too intrusive. I've played around with it a lot, and here we go, thank you. And where I've landed for street riding in conditions are like this, reasonably dry conditions, is there's going to be a lot of police around today. I'm going to have to be very, very careful. But where I've landed is wheelie control on 1 and traction control on 3 or 2. I oscillate between 3 and 2, and I love the fact that you can toggle the traction control up and down on your left switchgear. I think that is superb, and the reason why it makes a lot of sense on this bike is, of all the bikes I've ever ridden, this one is the most impacted by traction control settings. Oh, you see there's potentially police all around here. I can't even really overtake. This is going to be a nice gentle ride this morning, folks. But something a bit different nonetheless. So yeah, so the traction control really does make a massive impact. One point in the setting up or down makes a dramatic impact on the performance of the bike. And if you have traction control in dry conditions on anything greater than 3 and wheelie control on anything greater than 1, if you're trying to get straight line progress, it is greatly hampered. Like, it is, yeah, it's really intrusive, super intrusive, which I think in damper conditions fine, but in conditions like today, just not an option. It really does slow forward progress. So I've mucked around with it. I'm still not 100% there with that. I think ultimately I'll probably turn wheelie control off completely. I just haven't grown the kahunas yet to do that. But at some stage I probably will, and I'll live with traction control on 2 and wheelie control off will be my ultimate setting, I reckon. And hopefully these guys go straight. No, they're going right. So we are literally in the middle of a full-on cycling event here, which is not ideal. Well, probably a good time to talk about the quick shifter, which I've had, I love. It's really good, and people say it's not very smooth at low RPM. Well, not compared to an inline 4 BMW S1000 RR quick shifter. That is really smooth, so smooth actually it's almost clinical. This quick shifter is really good without being perfect, and at lower RPM sometimes you get a bit of a clunk, but most of the time it's pretty good, and certainly at moderate RPM and above it is excellent. The gearing itself, yeah, reasonably short gear. I think I get about 129 k's an hour in first gear, about 155 in second on the track, of course. But yeah, the gearing, so compared to my super bike, race bike, gearing is a little shorter, but it's not ridiculously short. And it makes for rapid progress without being, too wheelie happy, and makes it fairly usable. And the gearbox, you ride up and down the gearbox in everyday conditions, so it's fairly usable. It's not like you're riding around in first or second gear all day, although I have been this morning, but that's because I'm following push bikes. Just on the topic of noise, sound, the standard can on this is excellent. I can see why people say it's the best sounding stock bike going around. Euro 5 obviously has tamed it a little bit. I've had the servo motor modified, eliminated, whatever, and so my exhaust valve is permanently open on this bike. So what you're hearing is a stock exhaust with a permanently open exhaust valve. Here we go. This is where we've got to pay for the privilege of using the national park, even though I've got an annual pass, which I learned is bike specific. Oh, no one here today. Oh, okay. Oh, freebie for me. Okay, well yeah, I got one back. It's $12, but today I got one back. Anyway, I've got the Acura on order, and I'm a little concerned that it might be too loud. But because the pitch of the exhaust note on this bike is quite deep, it's a growl, I'm hopeful that it won't annoy me too much. So here we go, the low speed performance and fueling. Look at it, no problem at all. Please go left. Please go left. Please go left. Oh, they're going right. Oh, Jesus. These guys are going to be with me for 80-kilometre riders. 104. Okay, well, they're doing 104 Ks, and they're on my route. Oh, is she applauding me? How about me? Suspension settings on this thing are marvellous, and I've just got it on the A2 mode. For street riding, that is perfect. It soaks up the bumps beautifully. It's not too firm, it's not too sort of lush. It is a oh god, she's telling me to slow down, and I'm doing 52 k's an hour, and there's no cyclists near me. Jeepers. In actual fact, there's a cyclist catching me in the rearview mirror. Oh yeah, my first review of a bike in 8 years. Okay, I've been looking forward to today. My first review in 8 years, and here I've come into the peloton of a 300-kilometre cycle event with 1,000 cyclists. Oh, that'd be right. But you know what? I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to roll with it. Have some fun. Yeah, but so the suspension settings are excellent. Very easy to manoeuvre. I've got to say that the TFT, the usability of this system is really straightforward, particularly compared to my Honda Africa Twin, which seriously, I've owned that thing for over a year. I still can't work it. It is ridiculously complex. This, piece of cake. Absolute piece of cake. Really easy to use. If I want to change the mode, any of the parameters, all I do is long hold the mode button, and then it gives me the list of parameters. I scroll across and change them. It's really straightforward. So yeah, very easy to use in terms of changing settings. You can't change the settings in pre-programmed riding modes. You can in the user mode though, and that's where I am all the time. And very easy to do. So if it starts raining, I want to change traction control settings. I just do it. I just do it on the fly with the toggle. But I can go into the menu and change it really easy, and I can do it while I'm riding. I can do it on the fly. It's an absolute breeze. So yeah, I stay on selection A2, I think it is, for suspension settings, which is great for road use. And when I firm it up, I can see this bike would perform really well on track. Gives you great connectivity to the road. I can feel everything going on underneath me, which I dare say is partly to do with the tyre choice as well. I think the Super Courses, I think, on this. I've got to say that tyre choice for this bike on these roads is superb. Really feels good. It felt great from the get-go. Just on that TFT, it's brilliant. I have it on the black backlit setting permanently. I don't like it when it switches between white and black when the light changes around you. So, and I much prefer the black background to the white. So I just have it set on night mode permanently. I really like that. It's got just the right amount of information. The only thing this bike doesn't have that I wish it did in terms of information is the tyre pressure gauge. I actually really like that on bikes, and I check it every time I ride, and it's very practical. This bike doesn't have it, which is annoying. It doesn't have auto cancelling indicators either, which is annoying. I wish it did. And in terms of my wish list, I actually really like hill hold. The BMW's got it. My old Triumph had it. I love hill hold, particularly for daily riding when you're stuck at or stopped at traffic lights that are sort of on a hill. Wish this bike had that. So there's three things it doesn't have. I wish it did. Jeez, this bike's fun. It's fun at any RPM. That's what makes it a great commuter bike, by the way. You know, you can be cruising along at, what, 53 k's an hour. You want a bit of fun, just a little twist of the wrist, man. You get the fun. You get the giggles. The giggle factor is strong. It is alive. It is strong in this one. As you can see, we're at the West Head. Cyclists all around me still, and it's a beautiful little part of Sydney's north. You can see right across to Palm Beach and to the Tasman Sea on the way to New Zealand, straight out to the east. Yeah, busy day out here at West Head this morning. Normally a place filled with motorcyclists. Today we've got push bike cyclists. Beautiful perspective out here. You can see the lighthouse at Palm Beach, all the way around up to the north coast, up to the central coast of Sydney and New South Wales. Friendly boys in Lycra. So that's West Head. Beautiful part of Sydney. Lovely for a day out on the boat, actually. Some of the looks that I'm getting from these lovely young lycra-clad men, rather confusing. And here is the beautiful Aprilia Tuono in all its glory. Magnificent. Much has been said about the overheating of the 2022 Aprilia Tuono. There's been many a blog written about it, and I can tell you it's true. So this bike, for the first 4 weeks that I owned it, in traffic, in city traffic and stop-start, would overheat to 117 degrees plus and then turn itself off. It was getting worse and worse, and got to the stage where every set of traffic lights, after 30 seconds, 40 seconds, that would happen. And I took it into the dealer. I explained to them, I took it into a really good dealer, by the way, Northside Motorcycles in Sydney, awesome dealer. I didn't buy the bike from them, that's another story, but I took it into them and explained what I'd read in my research, and they actually hadn't had a bike returned to them with that problem, and so it was new to them, but they confirmed with Aprilia that that is a acknowledged problem. And of course the solution was to change the coolant. The coolant mixture, the water coolant ratio in a number of 2022 bikes is incorrect, and it should be 70-30, 70 water, 30 coolant, and it's not. It's 50-50 or worse from the factory, some of these bikes, and that's causing it to overheat. So they fixed the problem and put new coolant in, and now she's not overheating. She's still hot, she still gets quite hot at the lights, and actually the engine starts to labour a bit. You'll hear it, I'll show you later. It starts going row, 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 like this, and you just got to give it a bit of a throttle hit to clear it out. Someone vomiting on the side of the road, cycling a little bit too hard, don't you think? The bike itself, it's not Panigale hot, you know, it doesn't throw off ridiculous amounts of heat that burns your legs. I haven't experienced that, mind you. I've only been riding in coolish conditions, spring time here in Australia. So yeah, it is a obviously the engine does get hot, but I'm not noticing it like it's on the Panigale in terms of getting so hot that it's uncomfortable to ride or anything like that. Not even remotely, actually. But yes, certainly the engine itself was overheating, but it looks like I've rectified that. So in terms of handling, this bike is extremely nimble. Some of the reviewers I've watched talk about it being a bit heavy. I do not concur with that. This bike is very flickable and extremely lightweight, and certainly not top heavy. That is for sure. At low speeds, at sort of street speeds it is incredibly agile, very sharp handling indeed. At these sort of speeds and in the twisties, it's just magnificent. Pick a line, lock it in, power out. It is absolutely wonderful. And one of the things I noticed about the steering of this bike, you can get a lot of your turning and handling out of the pegs. I notice applying pressure to the pegs on this bike gives me a heap of response compared to other bikes that I own and have owned and ridden. Engine character, a massive fillip for Aprilia. The way they have tuned this bike and the torque curve is just delightful. It makes the bike so much fun anywhere, anytime, any speed. It really, really does. It is a joy to commute in, it is a joy to do the twisties in, it is a joy to go flat out in. It just, the engine response is wicked. It's instantaneous. It's there whenever you want it. And it's something else. It just makes this bike fun, a fun proposition anywhere. So the Super Duke's the teenager at the pub getting drunk for the first time. The Street Fighter is the boardroom executive wanting to change the world. The BMW is probably the silent assassin in an Armani suit. This bike is like going to the pub with your mates and playing some snooker, having a few coldies, and just having a great old time. This bike's just fun. It's something that when you contemplate getting on, you light up, you smile. When you're on it, you're smiling the whole time. And when you get off it, you just look back at it, you give it a pat, and you say, "Wow, thank you," and you just laugh. I haven't done a whole lot of giggling today, mainly because I'm so petrified about knocking off a cyclist and knocking a cyclist. You know what I mean. And I've got to have my wits about me, so I've got to sort of thread the needle through all these bicycles. So it's hard to actually just concentrate on the riding and have a giggle today. But don't worry, there'll be plenty more videos on this Tuono where we can get the giggle factor going. That is for sure. That is for sure. The engine modes and the riding modes, I have it in user mode pretty much the whole time, and I just change my settings on the fly depending on the conditions, which is very easy to do on this bike. There's no rain mode, I don't think. It's just user, sport and touring, I think. Touring I might use occasionally if I just want a quick easy rain setting. Race and track settings as well, customizable for your track work. But really, the best way to use this bike I've found is just grab your user mode and then just on the fly change the settings. Some bikes you sort of set and forget, and often that's because they're just bloody hard to go in and muck around with. This bike, you don't have to set and forget. You can actually interrelate with the bike. You can have a relationship with this bike that is ever present. You can change these settings on the fly depending on conditions, depending on what mood you're in, and it's easy. That's not something many reviewers have talked about, but it makes this bike very engaging. I think it's a key differentiator for this bike compared to anything I've ever owned before. You really are tweaking the bike's character as you ride, which I really enjoy. It just adds to the whole experience on the Tuono. The mirrors are good, switchgear's excellent. Fuel economy, people whinge about the fuel economy. Everyone who rides this bike whinges about it. Well, I'm not going to whinge about it at all. I think it's fine. I get 160 kilometres from a tank, and that's plenty. Unless I'm doing outback riding, which I'll take the Honda Africa Twin if I'm doing outback riding. That's plenty. For commuting, not an issue. For rides like this, not an issue. There's fuel stations everywhere. It takes 5 minutes to fill up. And frankly, but the buzz I get out of this bike, 160 k's out of a tank's great. The looks of the bike, I mean, it just looks, this bike, I get more of a reaction from other motorists on this bike than any other bike I've ridden. I had someone yesterday go past me on a Honda C something, and he got up on his pegs, and then he gave me like this bow, this sort of flourish and a bow, and a big thumbs up. And at the petrol station, even the cage drivers come over and remark about the looks of it. It looks stunning. It looks absolutely stunning. They've done a wonderful job with the styling. It's not completely lairish like some of the colour schemes that have gone before. I just got passed by a push bike. Oh Jesus! Look at this dude! If someone comes around that corner, he's toast. Hey, I suppose it's a race. Yeah, they must be racing, these guys, because that's ridiculous. Bloody cyclist, he says. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, that tickles me. There's one right up my clacker. Hello, kind sir. I've never been overtaken by push bikes before. Look at the scenery through here. Absolutely magnificent. Church Point, Cottage Point part of Sydney. Beautiful boat marina here. They were applauding the cyclists. I gave them a thumbs up, and they did not applaud me in return. All sorts of fun to be had in the northwest of, well, the north of Sydney's northern beaches on a Sunday morning. As we carve through a cacophony of cyclists. That's a lot of fun. You know what? My opinion of the cycling fraternity has completely changed. They're really nice people. Not so fast uphill, are ya? All wide group of cyclists. God, this thing's great. Wow. Catch me if you can. I mean, this, I know I've been forced to ride slowly, but what a great experience. I mean, this is not something you just go out and do every day. Hang out with the cycling peloton. See if we get a photo. Love it. Woo! Nice bit of wheelie action there. If you suffer from any form of addiction, don't buy this bike. It is incredibly addictive. The character of it, the way you interact with it, and the engaging nature of it makes it a completely addictive experience. The brakes are another thing that once you build a relationship with them on this machine, they become, again, part of that engaging experience. They're awesome. They're really, really awesome. They have this sort of progressive nature to them. By the way, lane filtering is piece cake on this. I think it's easier than my sports bike. Now, I haven't spoken about wind protection, mainly because I haven't been able to go fast enough today to even bring that into play. And I've actually put a slightly larger screen, the Puig screen, and that does a really good job, wind protection, but so do these fairings. I mean, it's great. I don't get any buffeting or, you know, annoying wind. I don't get any annoying wind at any stage in riding this vehicle. Let's test these brakes, shall we? Yeah. Downhill, on the gravel with potholes. Okay, changing direction test. Here's my changing direction test. Left, right, yep, uphill off camber, bumpy as shit. Here's my speed hump tests. Okay, 40 k's an hour speed hump. Boom, pop, boom, pop. No problem at all. 43 k's an hour actually. Ooh, shit. Jesus. Oh, that's excellent. Thanks for watching. See you later.